Well, welcome back to another episode of A Minute with Stony Stone, and my sidekick here, Darren, with Team Sift.
Team Sift.
I didn't misspell it or say it. It's just Team Sift,
Yeah.
and the old fart's fishing. And we have a special guest that decided to join in the studio. Is Daniel Fountain? How you doing, buddy?
Woo-hoo! How you guys doing?
Hook 'em big,
Good.
Yes, hook 'em big. So we're gonna get into some conversations with Daniel about what is Hook 'em Big and what do they do and how we met, and we're gonna get down and dirty and see what we can do. But until then, we want to give a little bit of a fishing report.
Yep.
Did you go fishing this weekend?
Nope.
Come on, you old fart. How can we give a fishing report if you don't go fishing?
Well, I drove over the river. I didn't see any fish, so I didn't go fishing.
You're like, no. Fish report is there's no fish.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I did go fishing. I did manage to pull myself together to go out with Kevin Brock and Warren Fredrickson with Warren Fredrickson Outdoors.
Yep.
And I believe he's on the call, but Warren got on his boat and went kokanee fishing.
Nice.
And in that trip, we were testing a bunch of Kevin's new kokanee rods that came out and played with those for a little bit and got on a bunch of kokanee and got some footage, and it was all good. It was a beautiful day, beautiful lake over in Bullard's Bar there at Marysville. I don't remember the little town we went over. Dark Day, I think, was the ramp we went to, the Dark Day ramp. And
That's kind of spooky.
I've never been to that side of the lake, but it was a gorgeous lake. And, of course, this time of year, all the boaters start coming about 10 o'clock. They all start coming out, and now you got the wake boats, the jet skiers, and so fishing was pretty much done. But we pretty much had limits. We had 30 fish in the boat by 10 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
But they're kokanee, so it's not like we had 30 catfish by 10 o'clock. You know? So it was a fun day, and got some great footage, and Warren got some footage, and we'll see what he does with his. I've been releasing this. Can't even talk. Releasing some videos today with Kevin Brock branding that we got with Warren, and so I want to give a big thanks to Warren. Thank you for having us on your boat. We had a great time, and it was fun. Hopefully, we can do some more of those types of videos. And I know you're going to Clear Lake on Sunday, is what he told me.
Yeah.
And so are we. We're going to go to Clear Lake. I don't know what you're doing.
I'm going to try. Just see how far I get with these projects.
He's trying to talk me into helping him with it. He's kind of doing that hinting thing. He's like, I'm really going to start working on this project late this afternoon, probably tomorrow night. And he lives like 20 minutes away. So,
20 minutes.
I'm like, should I take the hint, or should I just be like, my back hurts, fuck it, Or do I just man up and say, my back's going to hurt anyway, whether I do something or not do anything, so I might as well go help a brother out. But I'm thinking,
here we go.
The wife's going to be like, but your back hurts. And then I'll be like, well, if your back hurts, to do this and go fishing, how come you can't take the garbage out? And I'm like, well, let's go.
It's a different motion.
It's a different motion. So it's like my back can hurt at certain times, and other times it can't hurt.
Yes. It's all the way you lift that garbage bag out of the can.
Or the vacuum or some bullshit. Like my mother-in-law does. Most of that stuff. But there's a few things that I got to make sure I can do at home that I can make sure that allows me to go fishing regardless. So.
Yep.
But I've been thinking heavily that maybe if I helped you through the week, that would free you up to at least go
that would be fun.
Fishing. I know you don't like going on Sunday. Me, it's a Sunday thing. Is where I connect with my higher being, whatever that might be.
Yeah. What are they called?
Anunnaki.
Anunnaki.
No, it could be the Anunnaki. Could be. But hey, it's working. You guys brought it up. I didn't. But now that you brought it up, we can take this down the whole Anunnaki.
Don't encourage him.
Eric's, I'll screw this. We're not going the Anunnaki.
Hold on. Fade to black.
Fade to black. Oh, we're cut off.
I'm just going to go back. I just thought it was funny. No more Anunnaki.
This isn't the place for that. But now that it's out of the bag, go check it out. You might learn something.
But you have to have a safety meeting first.
You got to have a safety meeting. Then it kind of all makes sense. If you just watch it without a safety meeting, you're kind of, I don't know. These guys are whacked. But there's some things that are interesting. We'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that for a whole other podcast. Perfect. With that being said, let's get on to some real meaningful things that I want to give a proper introduction to Daniel Fountain from Hook 'em Big. joining us live in the audience. So it was kind of, it was awesome. So we're gonna put it on the soundtrack. We're gonna clap.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
It was funny. Danny comes over, gets into the studio. He calls me up and says, "Hey, want to go? Is it possible to come to the studio?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it'd be awesome." Because normally, Richard's been in the studio. You've been here. Not a lot of people have. And the first thing Daniel says, he goes, "That was a lot bigger." I'm like, I've heard that so many times in my life, but just kind of felt
Just today.
just today. It's just I thought it was a lot bigger. So yes, the art of the great camera work that we've done with my producer Eric, that is always behind the scenes now. Thank God, everybody's going, thank God. But he's doing what he loves to do, and definitely he does make it look bigger.
Yeah,
This is what Eric and I do for a living. As a real estate photography business, we do definitely make things look bigger.
Yep.
That's what we get paid to do. So, yes, you're absolutely right. It does.
Appear to be a lot bigger on TV.
It does look bigger. So, speaking of big, anyway, I want to go back a little bit.
Okay.
We met several years ago, and I'm trying to remember back when. It did have to do with a tournament at Clear Lake. I think it was when Billy Wynn was running the Whisker Chasers, Whisker something.
Yeah. That
And,
series, yeah.
I was like, had to be in, and I'm thinking I got into fishing about 2020. This had to be around 21, 22-ish time period is what I'm thinking when we kind of met.
Yeah.
As I was reaching out to a lot of different people to say, hey, I want to get into fishing. I didn't know a whole lot about fishing. And ran into some local guys up in the Yuba City area that were catfishing. One guy, Camo Cat, everybody knows who Camo Cat is. And you get those stories of, man, you don't want to be hanging with Camo Cat. That's like bad news. I'm like, oh, that's never happened. He's cool. Man, I'd hung out with him, right? I learned so much. All the tricks, all this stuff. But then I'm hearing later, like, this guy's going to get you in trouble. It's like, he's like breaking every law, every rule under the sun. You're like, what's going on? And so, definitely ran through a lot of different people and got into Clear Lake doing the catfishing thing. So catfishing led me to Camo Cat, led me to catfishing Hellas Lake, to doing catfish tournaments, and met Steve Johnson and did some fishing with him and started to get into the catfish tournament world and learning a lot of things and a lot of the people. And you were one of the people that I met along the lines. And I don't remember exactly if you had your rod business at that time or you were still working on it.
I think I was still working on it at that time.
Right, because I remember at some point I was doing my thing, trying to build relationships, and some relationships work, some don't, right? So you go through those gyrations, you figure it out, and you do your thing. And old farts fishing, that started as a joke, when I was bored, say, hey, I'm going to go create old farts fishing, make a bunch of videos. And now I look at where we've gone and went, holy shit, we've actually done something because people are actually following. And so I'm like, well, what can I do that's good with this? And a lot of it was, how do we reach out to the community? How do we support small business? Do that stuff. And one of the things was I saw these guys in the catfish world that were getting their so-called sponsors or their pro staff. And, as I started digging into it, it all meant different things. And a lot of it that I found was that a lot of these guys were boasting that they're sponsored. And really all it was is like, hey, we're going to give you a discount if you put our logos on your shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, they weren't getting shit for free. They weren't, I'm like, no, you guys are still being pimped out. You don't even know it. You still got to go spend money. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, we're going to give you a discount, but hey, we're going to put these stickers on. And, oh, can you put this? I'm thinking, that's, to me, is really not what that's about, right? I mean, the guys that are giving you stuff is they want something in return. And that's either money, they want recognition, they want something, they want you to have a lot of followers, whatever that is, right? Yeah. Everybody's different. But as you started your thing, I remember early on we did a bunch of videos for your rods.
Started with the racks, actually.
Right, I think it started with the racks. So we did some videos with the Hook 'em Big racks, and we actually did a build and put it on my boat. Yep. We did it on 2 different boats.
Yeah.
So we did one on the boat that we auctioned off. So that Hook 'em Big.
That was the first video.
That was the first video, and then so that's out there. I think James Newman has that boat still. And then when I got the new boat, we put another rod on there, another rack on there.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then we switched to your other T-bar ones, right? And then lately we switched to a different brand altogether. But, not that yours didn't work. It's just we're trying different things and trying to just kind of cycle through. But your rod racks are great and they work well. But we've done a lot of videos. But that's what brought us together was doing those videos as you were growing. So I'm like trying to grow my video business and doing what I was doing at that time. So it kind of hand in hand. It's like, hey, let's work together.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And from that became a friendship. Absolutely. And we've gone through a lot of the same friends, right? Where we've been down the same road. We've been through a lot with these guys. And I think as we watch those things kind of come together and unfold and come together and unfold, the one thing is you and I have been pretty consistent through this.
Yeah.
Not just on the business side, but also in the personal side. And we just sit back and go, what the hell is going on? Can't we just go get along? Right? And it's just a shit show. And it's like, that's not what we're here for. And the big slogan I've been saying for a while that Eric actually came with is just do better.
Just do better.
Right. If we could all just do better, that would be great. And, you guys are amazing. Hook and bait rods. So, Daniel, that's how I met you. I'm going to go on and on and on and on. So it's been.
I was looking for the duct tape.
He's looking for the duct tape going, shut the hell up, Sally. But I'm also looking at the clock. We're 10 minutes in, so shut the hell up. We're not too far along. But Daniel, anyway, tell us about you. Who are you? Where are you from? Let's kind of go back up. Not to like when you were in diapers or anything, but, just, a little bit, however much you want to share. Just.
All right, like I said before, I'm not a great conversationalist, so you might have to ask a lot of questions.
We're going to bring it out.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, obviously my name is Daniel. I would like to just put a special thanks out to my wife, Jillian, for putting up with me, for, help supporting me through all this. I live in Lathrop. I started fishing these tournaments back in 2017. We came out Team Wildcat.
That's right.
There was a bunch of guys. We used to work for a company called Wildcat Metals. So that's how we came up with Team Wildcat. The owner of the company had a house in Clear Lake, so we used to have to stay out there all the time. So we actually stay at his house and fish all these tournaments. And large groups of people fishing together doesn't last very long.
Well, it's funny because that story is I had no clue that's how that name was brought about. I had it was like, why are these guys Wildcats? I don't get it, right? But now it's like, okay, so that's very cool.
That's how it came about.
Okay.
And, like I said, you get large groups of people fishing together. The consistency's there for a few seasons. People start fading off. The group got smaller and smaller and smaller. And then the owner, the company sold the company. He actually shut the business down. And then pretty much everybody faded out. And that's when we transferred over to Hook and Big, because I already started the Hook and Big rod racks after I went to a Winter Blues on Wheeler. I think it was 2018 or 17. It was in January 2018. So we went out to Alabama for a tournament out there, and I seen a lot of different boats out there. Had a lot of different racks, a lot of different styles, and really at that time on the internet market, there was only Monster Rod Holders and another one called Adeline Rod Rack that was available on the internet. There were some local guys here doing it for the sturgeon, the balance beams they called them. So that's when I came up with the Hook and Big rod racks. Yeah.
What I liked about the first rack that we did that first video is, as I got into doing the boat thing, right? So I went from fishing offshore, making videos and getting my boats. And for me, I don't know, it was just like a little kid, right? Because the catfish rod rack, it goes across the back of the boat and it goes down the sides. And it looked like a little race fin to me. So the profile of the boat changed for me. It was like, look, it's cool. You put a fin on it. It's kind of like the guys who drive the Hondas who got a big old fin on it. The fin doesn't do anything. It's a front wheel drive car. Why are you pushing the rear end? But aesthetically, I'm like, that looks cool. And it's like, so then I do that. So I'm like, it needs lights. Because I can't put hydraulics on them. Because it's a boat, but I can put lights on it. So I got these little puck lights that stick underneath the rail. Yeah. So when we're fishing at night, I just click, 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 the whole deck lit up, and so it was an accessory, but it worked great. Yeah. It went across the back of the boat, and but for me, what ended up happening is over time, as we started doing these things, it was great for that application. Yeah. That's what you did. But then we started fishing other things. We started doing a lot of the striper fishing. We started getting to a lot of rough waters and things. And I felt, for me, on my boat, it was just too claustrophobic. There was the whole back of the boat was cut off. And because I had such a small boat, I felt I needed that space. So we migrated from that to your T handles that we had.
Yeah.
And so those were great, solid. And if they're on an aluminum boat that's really well built, those rod racks can't say that 10 times fast. Rod racks work great. But on my boat, it's a low. It's not a high-end boat. The whole deck is wood with some metal here and there. But you take that thing and you're not putting it into metal. It just rips out of the wood.
Yeah.
So for me, the way I mounted them, they just kept falling off. And I was having issues with them because of how we mounted them. And they didn't fit anywhere else when we kind of went through it. It gave me the space I wanted. But then they didn't fit. So then we went to a whole different rod system altogether. That was like 100%
in the track, right?
Well, I could have put the track mount, but it's actually on the gunnel, but they're 100% adjustable in different directions. To where if I have people in the boat, which we very rarely do, but there's times where I want those rod racks farther back. If we're just chilling and hanging out, but there's times I want them way closer. Where we're just sitting there in the chairs for hours or doing whatever. We're
too lazy to get up.
Getting too lazy to get up. But they're just adjustable.
Yeah, there's a story on those too. I did make some racks that were very similar to that, almost identical.
Right.
And I was threatened with being sued in patent court for patent infringement. So I had to back off of that a little bit.
Right. And that's the thing with these designs is you'll see stuff and it's like, well, how can I make it better? How can I do it better? And then you see it throughout the industry. I don't care if it's a fly or a lure of some sort or a rod, or as soon as you go to market with it, people are already trying to copy it.
Yeah.
And there's like, how much of it can I change to make it so I'm not copyright infringing? Right. Yeah. And there's a game that goes on. So
and that one is a utility patent. It's not a product patent. So it's the way it functions, not how it's built.
Okay.
So
that's totally different.
It's different.
Smart man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're getting your patents, make sure you know what you're getting your patent for when you do it and what kind of patent it is.
Yeah, very interesting.
I know there's some people out there that, and I heard about this. So if I go way, 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 way back when I was a musician, used to play drums and thought I was going to be a rock star and got into that whole drumming world. And when I was really, really young, I wanted to be the next rock star, but there's no money in it, right? And it was just kind of one of those things. I couldn't get a gig as a rock star drummer. Well, my mom had some weird fucking dude that played country music. And he'd come over to the house a few times and play his guitar, and so I'd be in the garage with my drums, rocking to some 80s freaking music thing, hair band, right? He'd go in there with his guitar, and I like with my drums, too, just fucking making fun of him, right? Well, all of a sudden, my mom has a guy come over as a bass player, and all of a sudden they want to form this country western band. And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't care.
I never heard about Stoney being a country western.
Yeah, so I'm about 14, 15 years old, and I'm playing in this country band. And they'd come over and hang out. I guess like it's my mom's boyfriends or some shit. I don't know. I'm just like a fucking kid at that point. So all of a sudden, we're like playing these bars and stuff, and I'm making money. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm just playing the same beat over and over and over. That's all I had to do. And every once in a while, I'll throw a little riff and a splash of a cymbal, and I'm playing country music. It was that simple. They were all the same. And so I did that for a while. And I don't even know where I'm going with the story, but it had to do with copyright infringement. So as we started making music, right, and go to high school, and I'm like making, music, and this buddy of mine started writing our own stuff. Well, back then, what you do is you would record it and you'd seal it in an envelope,
and mail it back to yourself,
and leave it sealed.
Yeah.
So that way, if someone ever came out with that song that you wrote, then you've got that's went to the U.S. mail, came to you, called the poor man's patent. I hear a lot of people still try to do that today. And I don't know if it would work today like it did back then. I have no idea. Because like you were saying, the utility patent, because it's
got the postmark date on it.
Right.
Yeah, as long as the envelope's still sealed, the postmark is the official date.
Okay.
Because now they know that, this was sealed. So if it ever went to court, you just take that as your document. They open up and go, yeah, the guy came up with this. But with all the stupid laws they have now, I don't know how that actually plays, because people have probably found how to close those loops. But I've heard that story back when I was a kid, playing music, people were doing that, and I hear people doing that today still. So either it works or people think it works and it doesn't work. I have no idea.
So now what?
I don't know. I just we're talking about his products, and then you went from your racks, and because Daniel brought up the thing about his adjustable thing and he got sued.
Well, then
it's his fault.
Yeah. Okay, I will jump into the rods. You know how I got into the rods because I seen the void in the market. You know, fishing at Clear Lake too. There's a lot of companies. The catfish rods are all from out of state.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of guys here, and a few nice rods that are built here in California, but they're low on the pricey side. You know, catfish guys don't want to spend that kind of money on rods all the time, so that's why I got hooked up with the Hook a Big Rods line. I tried to tap into that market. I seen the void, and I tried to tap into it a little bit.
And you did
They're great rods.
Really good job. And I've been through all the different iterations. We were in the garage earlier, and Darren's looking at my rods, and he's like, "How many fucking Hook 'em Big rods do you have?" I'm like, "Oh, just a few."
Yeah.
Because we cycle them through, we use them, they work great. It just
How did you get them, Stoney?
we got them as being a sponsor for Hook 'em Big Rod and promoting their videos and
every time we get a new rod, a new variation of the old rod,
we test it.
We hand those out. So
your last variation with that real sensitive tip.
Yeah,
that's this one right here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, the green one.
That just
no, actually, it's not that one.
It's not. It's probably the one I'm using.
Okay,
that's the EVA handle.
Those are the retired ones.
Okay.
But that sensitive tip, that's for those catfish. There's so many bites. A lot of people think those catfish are aggressive when they hit, and they kind of do. But they're also that sensitive bite. You know, Darren's wife will sit there and hold her rod while they're out there, and she'll outfish them because all of a sudden she'll feel it, and then she just kind of slowly, she's got that finesse touch. Boom, fish on. And we're sitting there just waiting there, talking bullshit, waiting for that boom, boom, boom. That fish might have been chasing that thing for about 100 yards or some shit. But that finesse, and your rods will do that. You'll see that thing, and there's a use for them. So like Darren and I were talking about that when we get into tournament mode. I'm definitely using Hook 'em Big rods because we're in tournament mode. There's a reason. Now I'm going to go out and fun fish, and I don't care if it takes me 20 minutes to reel in a fish. What happened? Then I'm going to use one of the Kevin Brock rods that I've been using that are totally flexible to sturgeon, to salmon, to striper, but they're so sensitive that it's like one rod that can do a lot of different weights from being really small to really big.
Yeah.
But if I'm going after these big catfish and I want dependability and not sitting there going, I hope this rod will hold because it says it will, but I've never taken it, not meant for this. It's a lot of fun. That's great if I'm fishing with my buddies and then the thing snaps and we have a great video to talk about, or it holds up and you're like, holy shit,
Or it's also a numbers game. You'd be able to get them in a little faster with the boat.
Right.
And that was the idea.
But you want to force that fish in.
Yeah, that was the idea when we went with the medium heavy, and the black one as the first rod was, just get them in as fast as you can, get it back out there, get your numbers in.
It's the numbers.
Yeah. So then we came out, the second version was the medium, the green rod. That's where we wanted to have people who want a little more finesse, a little bit more fight, a little more bend in the rod.
Yeah.
So you got to have the right tool for the right application of what you're doing, and that's why you have different rods.
And I'd love to. You've heard the story about how me and Stoney met, and we ended up going up there to the lake, and I was like, "Holy crap! These poles are priced at a good price point. I mean, it's affordable."
Yeah.
I've got a Phoenix rod. My wife loves it. I let her use it all the time now. That's her pole pretty much. But that's a $260 pole.
Yeah.
Who can go out and spend $260?
Yeah.
I've gone up to Clear Lake several times at tournament time and go into one of the tackle shops and see one of your rods and go, honey, look, I got another hat for you. I walk out with another fishing pole.
Yeah.
No, how much do your rods run? They're pretty.
They're $89.99.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to keep them, under $100. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And so that price point for what you're using them for, they're not just a great catfish rod. They're especially the newer ones. The tip is sensitive enough for striper. Definitely.
Yeah.
We've got videos with those.
Well, if you go to my Facebook page, I have a 26-pound striper I caught with Bradford Jones on a medium rod.
No.
Kyle Wise put a video out a while back when he was fishing with one of those out there. He got an oversized sturgeon. He can't even bring it in the boat, and he fought that thing. And even in the video, you can hear him telling his customer, "Try to break that rod." And I'm just thinking, I hope that thing don't break. I don't want to see that thing break, but yeah, no.
I caught hella sturgeon with mine.
Who's that?
Wheeler.
Mr. Wheeler. What's up, buddy? And he's
I've caught hella sturgeon on my hook 'em big rods.
Nice.
So I was with you when you were with your racks and when you started your rods, and now you branched out and you've got a lot of people promoting your product, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And you went from this guy that took a chance on me as being an old fart and saying, I don't know who these fuckers are.
Well, it was, to be honest, it was kind of, it's a little intimidating for, to put that much money, invest all that time and effort into, doing something and just hope it kind of takes off. And then it kind of has, It's
good, though.
And
it's gone a lot farther than I really thought it would back in 2018.
Right.
Looking back to where it is now, from then, 2018, looking forward, I would have never thought it would be where it is right now.
So you're seeing a forward projection, which is awesome. I mean, that's all you can ask for is.
Well, now we got the Clear Lake record on a hook and big rod with Herb Cornwell.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
A lot of the big fish that are being brought in, not all, but a lot of the big fish being brought in some of these tournaments are on hook and big rods.
Mm-hmm.
Hook and big rods are always in the top 5, if not definitely in the top 10 with the guys. You know what I mean? So 3 guys out there got Herb Cornwell, Tully Creek, Brandon LeBoy, Kevin Williams hooked with Kevin Guide Service. They all run the rods on their guide service. So
nice.
And
I'll be running
them out there too. I do have a guide license. We don't do a lot of guiding, but if someone says, "Hey, I want to go get a video, and we want you to take us out," we're definitely the boat to go on. We are licensed, Darren's licensed, and he's starting to come up on the video thing too. So we're doing something just a little different. And what doesn't? I mean, people don't want a video. We can do that too.
No, and then we also got the Operation Vets with Nets.
Yes, so both Darren and I are.
Chris Wheeler too. He does guiding out there too. He runs my rods too.
Yep. So a lot of interaction with people doing different things for different causes. So you got a lot of people that you're interacting with now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crossovers where Darren and I are both working with Chris on the operations Vets with Nets, and it's just weird how certain people you'll resonate with that are doing good things that you're going to continue to grow.
And that's and as catfish community, that's the way it should be through with everybody.
Yeah.
We all get along. Most of the time, we don't necessarily
most of the time.
agree, but as the tournament day, in the morning everybody talks to each other, but as soon as you blast off, it's war time.
It's game
war
time. Yes.
As soon as you get back, it's like you come in with what you got and just hope you outfished everybody that day.
And don't make the mistake that I made. Hey, Darren, what's up?
I've done that
was
before.
Just a head-to-head one, but it was still rules in place. But do not do buddy fishing or talk to other people as much as you want to.
I've done that before with Ron Ladd on Cove Derbies. He was catching fish, and we were catching fish. His fish were bigger, so we take off and go where he was at. Then we can't catch no fish. We shoot back to where we were. The fish aren't biting anymore. So I learned that a long time ago. Don't leave fish if they're biting.
Yeah, and then you fished the Titans. And you had a sore spot with that, right? I mean,
that was the first time any competition that we've ever fished at Clear Lake that we didn't catch not one single fish, not even a bite.
And I look at that, and that's not a rod issue.
No,
right?
No,
that's either a bait issue or a fish issue, or a combination of the two. But
it was a fish
issue. If you have the right bait, you get the fish. But if the fish don't want it, and you're changing baits, you're trying different things. It's just the bite's not on, and it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, and you got to find the fish,
and then you got to go find them, and then hopefully they're
windy on that day when you
it was real windy.
So
and afterward, talking with Richard after, I can't remember if he brought in 2 or 3. Well, we blasted off at the same place. Richard stayed on the rattlesnake side. We went all the way to the Wheeler Point side.
Right.
And Richard was telling us that he believes before we ever got there, he had his fish in the boat and never caught a fish the rest of the day either. So.
That's
but he was also there pre-fishing 3 or 4 days prior, which we don't have that.
Right,
didn't have that luxury.
And that's where we made the mistake. Because me and my buddy went up the week before. We knocked the heck out of them. We caught some real nice fish. We're like, oh, we got this thing in the bag. And they came back the next week, and it was super windy. We fought the wind all the way over to Rattlesnake side. It was rough.
Yeah, it was windy. We were out there.
Yeah.
the last trips we went were windy. So now I'm sitting here with your story. I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to go to Clear Lake this Sunday. Well, it's a week before tournament time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to knock the shit out of them, and then come tournament time, I'm screwed. So now I'm thinking, should I do that, or should I just say, you know what, I'm just going to go cold turkey?
I'd never pre-fish Clear Lake.
Yeah.
And sometimes it pays off, sometimes it don't. Fish are going to bite that day or not.
Yep.
So
you know the spots.
Yeah.
I know the spots.
You know the spots. So
yeah.
But there's so many spots we know, but it's kind of like, do I know?
How many spots are out there that you don't know?
Yeah.
There's fish everywhere.
There's still a lot of spots I don't know. And that's the thing is that you can move not very far. I mean, when Stoney called me that time, I didn't move very far. I went right around the point. And that's all it took.
Well, I've been out there before, especially in Bass Alley. Everybody around us is catching fish. In front of us, behind us, the side of us, and we couldn't catch fish, and everybody's just racking the fish. And we decided just to leave and go over to Horseshoe Bend. We started catching fish over there, but it was just sometimes it's just the way it works.
We've trolled side by side.
Yeah.
Same rods, same baits, same lures, same everything side by side. And I'm sitting there going, what's wrong with my bait? I mean, it's like, because he's just hooking them. I'm like, what the hell? And then so we switch sides, right? He's still catching. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. So it just kind of makes you wonder, right? Is your line could be a little bit off? There could be something very different.
Yeah, is that going to be the setback on your line?
Yeah,
there's be the distance from your weight to your hook.
Yeah,
you know, the length of your leader. How far is your float to your
presentation?
Yeah,
right. Is your presentation just a little bit off, or is there something on your hands you didn't know about?
Yeah,
right. Did you have some
sunscreen his bait rolling and your bait's not? I mean, yeah. There's just so much, dude, that you don't understand.
That's where your BBC would come in handy.
BBC, my big black camera that ties along. We've used it a few times, but
have you got any good footage off?
Well, what I've noticed is that camera's good to about 25 feet. And then after that, it just blacks out. Yeah, so we were fishing a spot that was 50 foot, and you can see it go down. You see a few fish. It was pretty cool, but we're in deep water. But at that time is where they're fishing. So now I'm thinking that we're going to shallower water, that I should throw it out there just to see. Because I'd really like to get that footage of seeing that lure work.
How far are you using that for your float type?
I could, but I put it in front of the float. So it's almost like a dual float because that camera's going to float anyway.
Yeah.
But with an angle going right? So I'm going to end up with the weight going to, just like we normally would. But that float will be in front of the other float.
Right.
And so they'll both kind of float.
So you're actually a wide angle your float.
And it's a really wide angle lens. So you can have it actually pretty close. And hopefully I get that strike is what I'm hoping. That'll be some cool footage.
Yeah, that would be.
So it's on my things to do, hopefully, but. Yeah. Honestly, the last few times we've gone out, we've struggled. I had to think about cameras. I haven't think we've got 2 fish. One time we got 3 fish, but we haven't been on these, people saying, we got 30 fish, 40 fish. I'm like, I wish I could get on. I still haven't had.
Well, that December Derby, the last, because I sucked. What do you call it? The last bash, it was in December, right?
Right.
Yeah, we caught 49 fish. We have a little button on there.
Okay.
We stayed right out there.
Did you each push the button? So it was like 3?
No. Nani was up in there. She was.
Well, no, I've seen.
I'm worried. No, we caught 49 fish. You guys saw the videos. We sent you guys the videos. We had 3 or 4 poles going off at the same time.
Yeah.
There was at one time we had 5 poles going off at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Got 4 of the fish in, and 1 of them came off. Then the next trip, you sick us with Eric.
Oops.
We caught 5 fish, and we struggled that day.
Oh, the curse of Eric.
And then the next trip, we didn't catch anything. So whatever Eric left on the boat,
it carried on.
It carried on.
So, Chris Wheeler has generously said, hey, I'll let Eric on my boat on this next tournament. And I'm like, all right. But now, so what he's
Did you have him sign a contract?
I did.
Okay, perfect.
But I think he's been on Richard's boat as well, right? Richard didn't catch anything that day either. So, and that was that Mendocino?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was Mendocino. And the reason why we could have caught, I made the mistake. I should have never left where we were going to be. I should have just stayed in the one spot we started in the whole day, and I didn't. And we paid for it.
What spot is that?
Yeah, I won't. Yeah, in the water.
By that tree.
No, but there's so many variables that play into all this stuff, and it could be you're on, you're off, and that's what's fun about it. As long as we all remember that no one's the best person out there. You know, you can have a good day, a bad day. Hopefully, you can pull it together. A lot of these guys run their mouths, though.
One thing I have noticed, and if you pay attention, you'll notice this too. It's when the new guys come in.
Warren,
they do not just Warren, but a lot of the new guys. They come in and they do very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then they get hooked, and then they just fall in line with the rest of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's kind of like
average out. Dude. They average out. It's almost like the catfish got to get them.
Yeah.
And
they get you hooked.
And that's kind of what happened with us.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny when I played golf, it was like that, right? If I didn't play golf for a long time, then I'd like do awesome, right? It's like, whoa, I'm a great golfer, right? The next time I'd be like, I suck a little bit. The next time I'm like, why did I pick this shit back up, right? This fishing's kind of the same way. It's like you kill it when you get in, you get hooked. You're like, man, I'm hooked. And then you start going, now you're chasing. Yeah. It's like that addiction. You're addicted to these catfish. You're going to chase
actually hooked them big.
Who's actually hooked them big? Yeah.
Sounds like the catfish hooked you guys big.
Oh, yeah. And hook them big's like, cha-ching, I'm going to make some money off this. Let's start selling some rods.
They're great rods, though.
No, they are. I love them.
So they'll be on my boat when we go this next tournament in 2 weeks. So
I do appreciate everybody's support on that too. I mean, all the way across the board, everybody.
How do we get your rods?
Well, you can go to the website, but for some reason I'm having issues with that still too. But you can call me directly.
So we need to talk. If you have an issue with the website, we need to chat. So
that's
he's like, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But yeah, you can text me, get a hold of me on Facebook, message me. If you're in Clear Lake, there's Clear Lake Bait Tackle has them, Live It Out Bait Tackle has them, and Brobby with Lakeport Bait Tackle has them up there. Yeah. They're in Manteca at Mega Bait and Tackle. Let me see where else. Lancaster, Amazing Fishing, North Pole Bait and Tackle in Rio Vista, thanks to you, and also in Tracy at the other branch too.
That's awesome. So I remember when you started, you're slinging them at the tournaments. We got your website, which now we need to talk about your website. We'll figure that out. But if there's a problem there, we'll figure it out and get you going. Whatever we need to do between Eric and I, we can definitely get that done. So we'll definitely take care of you there if we need to.
Yeah. But you can reach out directly. Yeah, that works too.
It sounds like this.
You're also out in Texas now too.
Yes, but I don't think anybody watching here is going to drive to Texas to pick one up.
Hey, but Texas might be watching
Chris.
us.
Chris got me 2 stores out there in Texas. Mike Weber's Bait and Tackle. The other one's slipping my name. You're going to have to help me, Chris.
Fishing more in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Milwaukee?
Lake Milwaukee.
Okay.
And near Lake Texoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Chris hooked me up with those
But
guys
see,
too.
now that Chris has hooked you up, maybe they'll hook them up to watching this video, and then all of a sudden they'll see that, and then it just kind of explodes. And all of a sudden, Old Parts Fishing is out there, hooking big rods out there, and they're like, well, what's up with these weird California people?
I share it all over the place, our videos.
I heard.
I do it all over. I don't even hardly do it in California.
Yeah.
I share it all of these Nebraska fishing tournaments and all these other pages all over the United States. So
my exes are in Texas. So.
Yeah. They kicked mine out. That's how bad she was.
So no, you are growing, expanding, and that's great. Are there any?
We also have apparel too.
Yep.
Apparel available.
Is that going to be on your website? I guess we'll be talking about that.
Yeah,
right?
we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Nope. Looks like we have some business to do.
Yeah. We have hoodies too. We don't have one in here, but there's hoodies available also. Yeah. I'd like to put a special thanks out to Keith Foy too. Even though he's a little on the wild side.
He's on the wild side.
Yeah, but, he is like a brand ambassador, self-promoting brand ambassador.
Promotes. Yeah. As much as you may want to talk about Keith, he's. I'm just gonna say it. He's struggling with some demons. He's got to figure it out and work through those. And he's very active on social media, so you get to see the ride. Whether you agree with the ride, don't agree with the ride, but you're along for the ride.
Yeah. And
you as an individual make a decision at that point. Do you want to stick with it or are you going to bounce out of it? And that's your personal decision. but he is struggling. He is trying to do the right thing. There's times he's doing great and doing great things, and there's times he's not. But the guy's trying, and people like Daniel still stand behind him, support him, and he is a brand ambassador. And, but that's self-proclaimed.
Yeah, but I do give it out because
he's working. He's trying.
Yeah.
The dude is trying. And so Keith, if you happen to watch this, brother, keep up the hard work. It is a struggle. Everybody's got some demons they got to fight, and you stick with it and get your higher being, whatever that might be. And have you ever watched? Never mind, we won't go there.
No, we need to talk about that later. So I'm interested in that a little bit.
Oh no!
Don't go there. It's scary.
It is interesting. Anyway, we digress. So the Catfish Bash is coming up.
Catfish Bash coming up. I've been doing some reading on some of the Catfish Bash page, the Clear Lake catfishing page. A lot of sounds like there's going to be quite a few more tournaments next year coming up. I've seen Triple C talking about their 2-day tournament. He's getting very excited about
Richard.
Yep, getting very excited about that.
So I am definitely we are entering that once that comes out. I think Richard was online as well, but absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited. I really am. And Sony, obviously, it's time to start looking at these, putting these. I have all the information for the flyers and stuff, but obviously none of that stuff comes into fruition until we get that okay from permitting. So I'm just really excited about that, and then supporting all the other guys doing their thing for this year. It's going to be good. Going to be good, and next year is going to be. Whew, you guys wait. It's going to be great.
And this is what I like, right? Is people can look at it how they want. You got to look at where it started and where it's going. I don't know if I got involved at the very, very beginning or were things already going on way before me, other than the Derby. The Derby's around for 40-odd years, but
I can't remember what year it was. Me and Steve put on a 24-hour tournament on one in July. It was called the Golden State Catfish Class, I believe. And that was like the first tournament for catfish that was
the 3-bag kind of limit thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was put on other than the May Derby. And then the following years when Whisker
Chasers.
Whisker Chasers series kicked off. And then after that, that's kind of like where it just
kind of all started.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you look at that was early 2021, 22,
No, it was
23.
before that. It was probably like 17 or 19, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably maybe 19.
Before COVID?
Yes.
And then COVID hit,
Yeah.
things kind of died off a little bit. And then when COVID kind of
we had a couple of coffee can tournaments out there, they call them whatever. Well, they weren't permitted, but we were just,
so you look at the growth of kind of where it was to where it's going and who's kind of come and gone. So it's going to be interesting to see how this progresses, to see who's going to come and go. Mm-hmm. Right. As I've been involved in this, I've heard a lot of noise of different organizations trying to do something, saying they're going to have a big tournament, how they're going to, bring all this money in.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to compete against the bass tournaments, right? Because out here in California, the bass tournaments are huge. They bring a lot of money. People come from all over. Can we do that in California? And I'm thinking, yes, it is possible. But I'm thinking that eventually all these things are going to have to kind of maybe potentially come together.
Yeah.
So you're not battling the different things. Now, I look at it from a consumer standpoint, is Richard is doing what he's doing with the Triple C's, right? With his tournament, it's a regular 3-day, or I call it 3-day because it's a captain's meeting on Friday, but you're 2 days the pro style tournament. To Jake doing his 1-day tournament. Again, different animal, that's still a tournament. Now his 1 day, they do 6 times a year. So it's more of a series. It's something different. It's something that you can do on a regular basis. Some people love to do that. Some people don't. It's your choice. But what we're creating now is choices. Now that Richard's doing his thing, well, Goodfellas used to have a tournament. Now, are they going to pull their thing together and never have a tournament again? Well, now you got Richard doing a pro style tournament. You got Goodfellas doing a pro style tournament. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
They've done it before, so it's not new. It's just, will these guys pull together? They took a year off. They didn't have tournaments, this last year. As we're doing, this year, it's all been about the Bash because we didn't have a Goodfellas tournament. We didn't have a Kings of Clear Lake tournament, right? So Jake is almost the only game in town at this point. Now, as these guys start getting their permits pulled together, once that opens up, that's really going to dictate who's going to be the player next year, right? Because when those, everybody's waiting for those permits to open.
When does that happen?
Richard, it's August, right?
Yeah. DFW says August we can start submitting for permit requests.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody just chomping at the bit. I know. I've talked to Jacob about his tournament timelines, and then I've talked to Brandon about his. I haven't talked to Goodfellas. I don't know what they're going to do, but nobody's out here trying to clash with anybody else's annual stuff and what they've got on the books, and just trying to get in where we fit in and just make sure everybody has a slot, to promote and to make these tournaments the best that they can, because that's the way we're going to get other people in there. And with Chris as well, with him doing his 1v1s, that one still, I haven't talked to him about, what his progressive or his proposed dates are. But I'm sure with everybody, coming together as a collective, as far as tournaments are concerned, I don't think we're going to have a problem.
Right, and this is a thing that I found within the catfish community, just in that one tournament alone, trying to get all these catfish men to do anything together, is like, what the hell? It's like herding cats. It's like it's just a mess, right? Let alone trying to say now we're going to have all these different organizations do this stuff. But what I like is that Richard's already asking, he's already and it's going to come together.
Hats off to Richard for even
Absolutely.
Being that guy to even care what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I don't think anybody else, maybe Jake, but some of these other guys, I think they're just pick a date and they're just going to stick with it and you're going to have to deal with it.
Right. Yeah. But at least the guys that are, like he kind of nailed is the collective, right? It's like, it's not a said thing. It's not an organization. It's just a bunch of guys that are actually working together to try to drive in the same direction.
Yeah.
You're always going to have the ones who don't want to play. And that's fine. You're going to have those. And that's
why I did mine. That's why I did mine every other month from Jake's.
Yeah. Right. So even so guys working together is what this is going to make this.
Yeah, that's what's going to help the whole thing grow.
But I envision as this progresses, if we continue to bond and do what we do, you have different organizations doing the same thing. It almost becomes that they were join forces, and they now. It's kind of one of those things, you follow the money, right? Yeah. There's money to be made here for somebody, but if you start doing it on the where it's all sanctioned, everybody's working together, it all functions because now you're working together. You don't need 3 treasurers, you don't need 3 of this, you don't need or 4 of this because you have 4 or 5 different, you have 1, and everybody has a different role within that organization, and you're all working together for different things. You got Jake that's got his little niche with his little series. You got Richard doing his, one-day pro style tournament. You got Goodfellas doing there. You got Chris doing head-to-head. But they're all within the same organization. Yeah. Then that's when this stuff is working because it's all funneling and you're all playing by the same rules and working together. Mm-hmm. Will that ever happen? I don't know. It was a really good safety meeting, so I doubt it.
No, but even if you just look at the progression of how this has gone from in that first tournament that me and Steve put on to where it's
where it is now
here in 6, 7, 8 years, whatever
it's huge.
Been, working to be in 6 or 7 more years, or even 10 years.
Right.
Well, as far as that goes, where do you see yourself with your hook and big rods and your racks and everything in the future?
Like I said earlier, I didn't know. I didn't have the vision to see where it was at. Where it is now back then. So, it's really
So if you go back to the very unpublicized, unwritten, school of business with Stony Stone that a bunch of guys took. I think it was you that took it. You had a bunch of guys that took the little. I think it was like a 10-day course that we met online and went through these whole steps of the business. But a lot of the things that you are applying is what you learned during those courses, and they still apply today.
Yeah,
right.
I do know that the fishing industry is a multi-billion-dollar worldwide industry.
Oh, yeah.
There's room for everybody and anybody that wants to get in there, as long as you got the right marketing and the right niche and all that.
And if you work together, even in my business with a photography business, there's a lot of guys doing the same thing I'm doing. I could look at them as competitors, or I can look at them as colleagues, and we just work together. There's enough work out there if you work together. Or like one person that I just recently brought on, I saw her as a potential competitor. Well, you just offer them a job and have them work for you. And now if they work for me, and so far she's loving it and it's working out great. And so, but that's how it, you got to just think of how you're all going to work together and what your roles are. There's enough work and enough of this for everybody.
Yeah. If I could, tap into some little extra resources, you get some investments or whatever, I think this thing could go be as big as
you want it to be.
Yeah.
And to be, I don't really think that the whole thing needs to conjoin to be successful. I think each of these tournaments has its own identity. It has its own personality. Once again, we define it. Jake's got his single day tournaments where it's really, I think that's your entry into type of tournament fishing, right? And when you've got Chris's 1v1, I mean, that's just an individual competition that's just got its own character. I mean, guys, we seriously got amped up for that. That 2 months that we had to wait was just excruciating. Even though you're out there every day and trying to compete, but it's got its own personality. Now, I will say this, that I think at when you got a champion from each of these different types of tournaments, there's your union at the end. Right. You have a TOC. That's where you come together, I think, and that's something that I've thought about, and my vision is so broad, it's so big, with the payouts. That's how you bring people out here from different areas. You have different types of tournaments that guys can come in. Everybody doesn't have to fish the same one. You win one of these, no matter where you are, you go into a TOC, and then you've got some serious, work to do, or serious competition for some serious money after that. So
absolutely, and I think you've nailed it on the head, right? It's a matter of, at the end of the day, we also got to work together and play licensing together. It doesn't all have to be under one union. You could be kind of under the same umbrella of some sorts, but you're working together to accomplish everybody's success.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we all want at the end, is we're all successful. All our niches are a little different. Your clientele may be the same, maybe a little different, just depending on, which tournaments they want to do.
And time of year.
And the time of year, you got some people that have families or kids, and they can't do the summertime things because they're with their kids. But the wintertime, they can. So there's a lot of variables that go into it. But that's what's kind of cool about Clear Lake, is you got options now.
Yeah.
Lots of options that, where before you had one or two things going on. You had the derby.
Yeah.
And then you had these little other tiny things going on.
Yeah.
But if you really are competitive and you like that tournament thing, now look at the options you have in like Daniel said, within the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Of how many options you have, and you don't have to do them all unless you're addicted like me, and you're like, I'm going to do that one and that one and that one, and all of a sudden you're broke. But
it can be taxing,
but it's fun.
But it's fun.
Yeah. It's fun.
And we all know, as far as Clear Lake, it's fishable all year round.
Yes.
As long as the weather cooperates, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You can catch fish there all year round.
Yeah.
Right. So are you ever going to come out with some different rods beside the catfish rod?
I would like to. I do have some things in the works, but it's a long process, Yep. And it all depends on capital and all that. You got to have
funding.
Yeah,
Some
funding.
crowd funding.
Yeah.
So we should talk about starting a crowdfunding, not a GoFundMe. That's some bullshit.
It's the same thing, Stoney.
No, they take too much percentage. There's a way to do it without a GoFundMe to get them some capital, some investors, right?
Yeah.
That are going to put some money and effort and some sweat equity or something. I think a lot of what you're depending on right now is a lot of sweat equity for people that are just doing the grind and helping you get the word out. That hopefully Old Farts and us are still getting new business and they're still seeing your stuff. We still pimp you out on
Well, just recently, with the North Pole in Rio Vista. They branched over to the store in Tracy. That just that happened like maybe just 5 weeks ago. So so
now they got 2 stores.
Yeah,
very nice.
And that was one that if you ever go into a tackle shop and they do not have one of Daniel's cards or something, try to get some cards out for some people. But even if you don't, just give them information, write it down, say go look up Hook'em Big Rod. Google is a powerful thing. You just type in Hook'em Big Rod.
Yeah, the website comes up.
And the website's going to come up. Facebook's going to come up. Anything that says that. Just Google Stony Stone and therapy is cheap. You'll figure it out. You can't unsee some certain things. But just Google Hook'em Big Rod. Tell them to get those rods in. And Daniel would love to have another customer.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Say, hey, call this number. Better yet, give them information.
Yeah.
With the phone number to call. That's the best thing to do.
Yep.
And help it grow.
For sure.
And that's what we're all about is get the small business going.
Heck yeah.
Darren,
be good.
What else?
I don't know.
It's like, look, if I didn't talk this whole time, you guys wouldn't have anything to talk about.
I know.
At least one of you is a conversationalist.
Well, the thing is,
I told you from the beginning, bro. I'm not a great conversationalist.
the thing is, when you have something to say and you can't say it because somebody else is talking, then you just forget about it. And then you say, whatever, I'm just going to listen to this guy.
And you didn't even participate in a safety meeting. You just watched.
No, I just watched.
The dog is like, must have been a contact safety meeting.
Yeah.
Odie is just passed out.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. Tournament in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so there is still plenty of time to register. Go onto Facebook on the Catfish Bash. There's a link there, several links, or go to Old Farts Fishing, or look up Stony Stone, or Team Sift, or Hook'em Big. The flyer has been shared to everything related to catfishing. There's a QR code on there. There's a clickable link right from the Catfish Bash page for the event. There's still plenty of time to register. We like getting everything pre-registered. One is that's going to give you a little bit of advantage. Not that you need it, but it gives you your launch number. They have a pro-style launch where they call out numbers. And so based on when you register, that's your launch number. So a lot of the regulars wait for that to come out. And as soon as this tournament's over, right, within that week, registration for the next tournament's going to... So Jake thought that I was crazy when I said that. I'm like, he's like, what do you mean you're going to open this up? We just finished. I'm all, trust me. It's like you guys are all addicts. I'm sorry. Give them that taste. Whether you won, whether you lost, guys registered like that first week. As soon as I put it up, more than half the field. Right now we've got 22, 23 teams.
Nice.
More than half of those teams registered the first week I opened it up.
So we only need like 18 more?
Only 18 more to get 40 or
That'd be awesome.
But I'm saying is regardless of where you finished, you jumped right on the bandwagon to do it again. So I know you guys love this as much as I do. And that was the cool thing. So as soon as this tournament's over, registration for the next one is going to pop open.
We haven't registered yet because Mike and them are on vacation.
Oh, you still got one more, right? Yeah. You haven't registered.
No.
But Daniel's like, I don't need to be a first number because I already know where I'm going.
Yeah, and that's true. But Mike's flying back in on the 27th at 2:00. So you guys, we're going to drive up Saturday morning.
Sweet.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those crazy ones because it doesn't start until noon. So
a little crazy, a little different.
Yeah, I think it's the only one in the series that does that. Jake, is that correct?
It's
the second one that's at noon.
You got this one,
August will be
August the same one. Okay.
Jake's online. Yeah, August will be at that too. Hot August nights.
Yeah, that's true. You've done a great job. We really look forward to these. So shout out to Jake.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. It's just the venue, man. The venue's got concerts and a lot of stuff going on, so we're trying to make it work around that.
Right.
It's
you know, they've been very accommodating to us the last 3 years, so I kind of want to work with them when I can.
Got it.
And that's what makes all this work, right? As we talked about, is regardless of whether it's the venue or the city or whoever, or even DFWs giving the permits, right? You guys all work together like we're working. We're going to have more fishing days. We're going to show a lot of cooperation.
Yeah.
You actually start building this bond that is unbreakable to support everything that we love to do. Are we going to have the noise? We're always going to have the noise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? You just decide whether you're going to engage in the noise or ignore it. But the more we ignore it, we get some new teams in. You got like these Kokanee guys that came out of the field. It's like, yeah,
Are they already registered?
Yes, they already registered.
Damn, I wouldn't think.
Warren, so I just went on Warren's boat. I just went Kokanee fishing with Warren this weekend.
They got the bug, bro. They've been bit.
Yeah.
So I've been with Warren, and they stopped doing some Kokanee stuff to go do this catfishing. So they're having a blast, and it was
Yeah,
fun
they're at the
hanging out.
major. I seen them at the May Derby too. They're out there too. Yeah.
So they've got the catfish bug. They got stung. I think everybody. If you ever got stung by that catfish,
Oh, I have.
Oh, yeah.
I think as soon as that happens to you, you're hooked on catfishing.
Yeah.
So I think everybody, you got to tell me, if you've never ever been stung, I'm going to say you're lying.
It's quite painful.
It's
Yeah,
painful,
yeah.
but you know what? There's some venom that's going to make you get that. It's like you cannot get it out of your system, but you got to get stung.
Yep.
Have you been stung
At a young age.
at a young age? I got
I
stung.
was pretty young too when it happened.
Yeah.
And I picked those things up no problem. I mean, I haven't got stung. Now I'm
Well,
going to
you
jig
get
myself.
smaller ones. It's the smaller ones. that
Yeah,
get the
exactly.
bigger
The
ones.
smaller ones.
Well, maybe that's why I'm always
Yeah.
catching the small ones. I get stung all the time.
Yep.
I never got a big one. My biggest this year is 25.5 or something like that.
On the hook of big rod, huh?
Yeah.
Beginning of the year. That was,
Very nice.
so we've been chasing that beast set to buy high. Usually, we're getting those 12s or whatever. It's like,
Is that your PB?
yeah. Personally, for me, we've had a 28 on the boat. I think it was either Big Willie or Anthony caught, but it was on my boat, so I took a little credit.
Yeah,
and it was on our team.
Were you operating the boat and you got them on the fish?
I got them on the fish.
Yeah.
But
That's all you got.
That's what I always say. Even people, when I take people fishing, I haven't taken people fishing recently, but in the past, you take people fishing, they catch fish. It's almost the same as you catching the fish because you help them get them on the
Yeah,
fish.
exactly.
That's
I
what
do get
tell
some reward out of that myself.
That's exactly what I
Yeah,
tell them every
yeah,
time. I put you on the fish.
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I followed Aaron. So, hey, we had a great time with you. This time just flew. I'm like,
It did.
we just
Wow.
talked the whole time. Mainly because I talked the whole time.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, I know. I got out of my comfort zone a little bit.
I got to get him
Perfect.
comfortable. You got to
Perfect.
give him a little bit of apple juice. He's good to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
More than that, if you give me a couple more, actually, I'll talk your ear off.
Well, I am not filming. My back is still screwed up. I did not film with Kevin Brock today. Probably will not be filming until after tournament season because I got to make sure I'm in at least halfway decent shape.
Yep.
To at least drive the boat.
Tournament day, you mean?
Tournament day, but
You said tournament season,
Well-
so that means you wouldn't be filming until next year.
no, all filming all together. This is the first time ever I've canceled trips because of back issues.
Yeah. They're no joke.
No joke. I definitely got to get this
No
back
joke.
on track and get out there and get some fishing done. So,
Yep.
anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Daniel, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. And just
Um,
remember, our motto is hook 'em big or small, we hook 'em all. And sometimes
Yes.
not at all.
Sometimes not at all. What's your phone number? We get hold of you.
408-991-2737.
And
Text me first, please.
text, and then
Yeah. Text me.
your website.
Hook 'em Big LLC.
Brooklyn Big LLC. You go there, and sounds like him and I are going to be talking about some
Yeah.
website changes here. So
Yes.
we're going to get him going. If there's some issues, we'll fix those immediately and figure out what we kind of do. So, peace out, everybody. Thank you very much.
Stay safe on the water.
Yeah.